Flirties. On the show today is Mark Rosenfeld, one of Australia's top dating and relationship coaches, author of the book Make Him Yours, Beating the Odds of Modern Dating, who has worked with over 50,000 women throughout his coaching career in both one-on-one courses and programs. Mark, hello and welcome to the show.
Thank you for having me, Ben. It's a freaking pleasure, man. I love the show.
Yes.
Thanks for having me on.
I'm excited to have you on today as we get into, dating and relationships, of course. That's what we do here on Flirtations.
That's what I do as well. What a match. Here we are.
We're not going to be talking about cooking or the weather. No, not today. So as we get started in the About You section of the interview today, so did some flirt search, right? And
love it.
Earlier in your career, you were a veterinarian at one point.
I was.
Very interesting.
Yep.
But you were also a male stripper.
I was. 9 years.
Before that, 9 years. Oh, wow.
Yeah.
That's okay. We're going to hear more about that. But before you were a stripper, you described yourself as a shy guy, someone that may have been an introvert as well. And so I just want to hear more about how you went from shy guy to stripper.
With great difficulty. It started out, so in high school, I never felt confident. And I've sort of traced that in my own work back to middle school and feeling excluded, not having friends in a new school, I remember getting detention at lunchtime because I was so nervous in grade 7 and 8 about lunches. I would just get detention every day to not have to deal with the social isolation I was struggling with at a new school. And that kind of led to a lack of confidence in high school, which led to a lack of confidence in women. You know, I hadn't had a girlfriend, hadn't had sex, anything like that. And I got to about 20 years old, and it was just getting worse and worse for me, and I was feeling more and more isolated. I had a few male friends, but I just couldn't connect with women or girls, I guess we called them at the time.
Yeah.
And I tried different things. Like I moved in on college campus, figuring that would help. And I moved in with some roommates who, had women around and had parties. And all these things exposed me a little bit, but they didn't really solve the problem.
Yeah.
So I sort of set a little goal to basically go out to places that scared me and to meet women in those places, which at the time was basically pubs and clubs.
Okay.
And I would never usually be seen dead in a place like that. And I essentially said, I'm going to go out here every second night for an entire year. And I'm not going to leave the venue until I've met at least 12. It was 8 to 12 groups of women, 12 on a weekend, 8 on a weeknight. Okay. So it was a lot of just going up and talking to women I was attracted to. And the first 50, 100 nights were pretty bad. It was a lot of rejection. I'm like, hi, I wanted to meet you. It was, hi, I thought you were attractive. Or even worse, I'd use some of those old school opinion openers that like the old pickup artist taught. I did a few of those and just, but it at least got me into some conversations occasionally, which was actually more than I was having prior to that.
Okay.
And over a couple of years, it started getting better. I started building more confidence. I started kind of just getting good at meeting people. Okay. And eventually after about 2 years of that, some men started asking me for coaching. So I was kind of working with men and coaching men to meet women. And I got over a lot of those confidence struggles. And eventually I was like, look, I like these environments. As in, I like the stimulus. I like the socialization. I like meeting women. This is cool. It's also a decent chunk of work to continually be doing this. And it was actually work now because I was being paid to be there by clients. So I went, I wonder if I could do this in a way that isn't so demanding, but is still fun. And that was when I thought, wouldn't it be cool if I could do like the topless waitering thing that I've seen a couple of people do? Then I could meet women and be paid and it would be social. I can talk to women without needing to force it. And so long story short, I did that for a while. And then I saw this guy stripping and man, I was just so inspired. This guy, he was, he was like 30, 32. I'm like pushing the girls out of the way to get to the front of the audience. I'm like, he's like running up the walls and doing a backflip and he's big freaking guy as well.
Yeah.
So athletic and was just the center of the party, the center of attention. I just thought that's the coolest thing I've ever seen. And so I started getting obsessed with it and kind of just following strippers and going to shows and stuff. And eventually networked, got an opportunity. And my first show was a 30-minute show, which is a long time to take your clothes off. You can
Yeah.
imagine like 6 minutes is like, oh, this is fun. The next 24
Sure. I
minutes.
mean, how long can a striptease take if you're going all the way, right? Like 30 minutes. That's a long
Yeah,
time.
it was a long show. So it was a huge achievement. It took weeks of prep. I think I didn't go to college for like a
Wow.
month just to prep for
Wow.
the show. Yeah, long story short, it happened. It was one of the greatest
Okay.
achievements of my life because of how much it took and all the lead up to it. And
Uh-huh.
that started my career at, I think I was 23 and I did my last show when I was 32 because I moved over to America to be with my now wife. I didn't continue it when I moved over to America. But that was kind of my career. And it was a ton of fun. I traveled all around the world with it, did lots of local shows in Australia.
Wow.
It was sort of I would do it Friday, Saturday nights while I worked as a veterinarian and a coach during the week. So it just worked. It was so much fun, man. It was, I have an absolute adoration of live music now. I love concerts. I love EDM. And I think part of it is like, I just miss being in that kind of environment, which is ironic because when I was 20, it's the last place you ever would have found me.
Yeah. I can imagine how much fun that would be, doing some stage shows, but then maybe like the bachelorette parties, maybe a baby shower,
They're
like the
so
birthdays,
funny.
like the things like that. And like you're just with a group of women
and the
just,
characters, man. You get to dress up. You don't realize how creative it is. You want to be Indiana Jones? You can be Indiana Jones and you're not a weirdo. Like you can go to a party as Indiana Jones and people like cheer and applaud you. You're like,
yes,
Superman?
It's not just about cops and firemen. It's like characters and
I did Jon
superheroes.
Jon Snow for a long time from Game of Thrones during that phase. Like, you can be creative.
That would turn me on so much.
It's so fun.
With like the leather sort of skirt they wear.
The
and
big
like,
fur, the big fur coat. The sky's the limit. It's actually I miss the creativity of it. That was one thing that was really fun about it. Yeah.
I get that as well. This is so good because to go from like shy guy to stripper to dating coach, right? There was a lot of time in between that, years, and a lot of preparation and a lot of just practice and experimentation and building confidence. And like to go from at the bar on a, let's say Thursday night or club on a Friday night to like, hey, come around here much, right? Did I see you last week kind of thing? Just trying to break the ice, make that small talk. Yeah. Getting through that awkward phase to then becoming the person that could be Indiana Jones on stage. Like, cause I'm sure you get this question a lot from guys. It's, how do I meet women, right? How do I get off the apps? How do I flirt with women? Like if it's guys dating women, I get that question all the time. Like, how do I get to the first date? And so offering a few tips there, maybe icebreakers, a flirting tip. Yeah. What some guys could do.
I mean, lads, you got to be resourceful with this. Tony Robbins always says it's never a lack of resources, it's a lack of resourcefulness. And I always applied that advice to parking spots. Sometimes you can't find a park. You're like, all right, I just need to be creative with how I find a park rather than just say there's no parks. I've got a couple of parking fines as a result. But the point is like we do live in a place where as a man, if you can really be creative and solve the problem, if I gave you $100,000 to solve that problem, so say meet 10 women by the end of the week, you would have met them by tomorrow. So it's not really a lack of research. Any of us could go on ChatGPT today and say, hey, chat, I'm looking for social events in my area in the next 7 days where some women in the whatever age group would be attending.
Yeah.
Can you? And a chat will literally give them to you. So I don't think it's a resource problem anymore. I think it's a bit of a resourcefulness thing. And we've all got to check ourselves and be like, hey, if I was actually getting paid $100,000 to do this, what would I do? And often the answers will come to you. I can't speak to any specific city, but if you want to avoid the apps, which I don't mind the apps for women, I have to admit I haven't coached a lot of men through them, but we can talk about my app journey. I do think as a man, there's a lot of ability to be successful, but let's say you want to avoid the apps entirely. There are so many environments where you can be social, where you can learn a skill, where you can go to a class, where you can join an interest group, where I'm not on the apps as much. I'm not what I meant to say. So I'm not on social media as much right now because I have a daughter. She's 14 months old. And she's taken up a lot of time. But I've realized life is really bright when you're not on your phone a lot of the time.
Ain't that the truth? Yeah.
It's my most used apps now other than the Nana is I think Google Chrome and YouTube or something. So none of the social media apps are really up there. And there is so much potential to grow. And for me, dating, it wasn't really about the women. It was about who I was becoming and how I had to focus. Because if you get a shitty look from a woman, it doesn't feel good. It can bring up your shame. It can bring up your fear. It can bring up many things. And so it forces you in that moment no one's going to validate you other than you. in that moment. You're sort of like, it's easy when someone else is telling you you're a good person, but when you are the only one they're able to tell you you're a good person, that's a heavier weight to lift. That's a heavy emotional bicep curl.
Yes.
So dating became kind of my emotional bicep curls. It was, how do I reinforce my value in the face of others who are not necessarily reflecting it? So meeting strangers and going out, you can definitely do those things. And if you want the heavy emotional bicep curls, do that. Otherwise, find environments where meeting people is pretty normal or somewhat socially expected. That those will be your warm-up reps. And don't be afraid to say like, hey, I just would have been kicking myself if I hadn't come over to at least introduce myself. Introduce your name. And you know what? She might just say no and turn her back. And you should be really proud of yourself in that moment, because it's not her result, it's the habit. If you're building the habit, you'll be successful. It's like going to the gym and maybe you have a bad session, you forget your clothes or you forget your towel, it's just a bad day. That's still a win, because you're on the habit. You're on the winning habit. The small-term result doesn't matter. It's the winning habit. And we forget that in the midst of the woman who, laughs at us or something.
Yeah, that's so good. And when you're out and about doing your things, right, catching a flirt or two, do put your phone down, which I struggle with, because I'm like, but watch our videos, okay? Come to Mark's YouTube, watch my socials. Yes, don't put your phone down completely. Yes, exactly. But after you do that, then
after that. And eye contact is huge, because if you're talking to most people and making eye contact with most people, the cute girl starts to see you as, oh, he's talking to everyone. And then she'll open right up to you, at least a lot more frequently than if she feels, I guess you'd say, targeted.
Yeah.
The phones are a bit of an evil, especially when you're out.
So good. I mean, I say, like, don't only flirt with the person like that you find attractive or that you think is hot. Flirt with, like, make it a practice of connection. Make the habit of connection just a part of your life. And what will happen is you'll start to shift out of the, if something doesn't go well, it's a rejection, you get laughed at or something like that. Like, you don't really, because what you were saying is like, you're not deriving like this flirt or this point of connection isn't good or bad or successful failure if it doesn't go to a date or a phone number or a social media follow or something like that. It's just about the habit of, hey, how are you? My name is. Start there.
Yeah. How am I showing up? Am I proud of how I'm showing up? If I see a beautiful woman and I go and chat to her and it doesn't go well, if we go back to how am I showing up? Did I show up as the flirty, I'm just in a good mood for no reason self that I want to show up as? That's still such a win. And no one in that moment is going to be there to validate you except you. Maybe your friend can give you a high five or something. But for the most part, the only person, when you get that pushback, the only person who's going to validate you is inside. So take those opportunities to self-validate, because it's kind of a win-win. You either get a nice interaction and you feel good, or you get a testing interaction and it will be an emotional pull-up for you.
Okay. Yeah, flexing that emotional bicep. Yes. I'm getting back into the gym, so I love these references.
They're my references, yeah.
I want to ask you one more question here, which might, like, the answer might be what you just said, but you're an attractive man, Mark.
Thank you, Ben.
There are
what a lovely thing to hear.
Well, there are a lot of flirties, some of the fellas and ladies listening, that are like, they don't think they're good looking. Why would so-and-so ever approach me, want to even talk to me, want to flirt with me? I'm not their type. And so they take themselves out of the equation altogether. They may even reject themselves before even giving themselves the opportunity to build that, right, flex that emotional bicep and say hello, make a connection. And so for the flirty listening, could be men or women that feel like they're not attractive enough. Yeah.
I use the job interview metaphor a lot. Can you imagine going to a job interview and showing up and they tell you, hey, you've got the job, and you say, oh, I'm actually not qualified. That's not your decision to make.
Okay.
You're overstepping the boundaries by making that decision for them. And I understand that there can be insecurities there, totally.
Sure.
I will say to the gents, I mean, both online and offline, online, what women are experiencing, and believe it or not, I've experienced a lot of what women experience online through a bunch of testing, which if we have time, we can talk about.
Oh, we're going to get there.
We'll get there. A lot of guys' profiles are so bad that you would be surprised how easy it is to stand out. But even in person, and this is really to the guys again, if you have a sense of self-care, of style, you don't have to be 6 foot tall. You don't have to be
Yes.
whatever, have the perfect body. I've seen guys that are really good looking that get so lazy. And
Mm-hmm.
I've seen
Mm-hmm.
guys that are not traditionally that attractive, but they've cut their
Mm-hmm.
hair nicely, which I have not done recently, so I'm not the role model for this. They've cut their hair nicely. They're well groomed. They
Uh-huh.
smell good. They've got a sense
Yeah.
of fashion. And look, maybe a little charisma sprinkled on top. You don't have to have that. That might be something you build. But
Yes.
women, it's not a looks thing, especially speaking to the guys, just the guys here. It's not a looks thing. If you
Yeah.
stand out, if you really put time and effort into yourself,
Mm-hmm.
sure, maybe a 6'2" woman will DQ you immediately if you're 5'8", and
Mm-hmm.
there's nothing you can do about that. But believe me,
Mm-hmm.
there are plenty of beautiful 5'6" women who might
Mm-hmm.
say they want a 6'2" guy, and then they see you, they meet you, they interact, and they go, "Oh, I'm feeling
Yeah.
a little something towards this person," and
Yeah.
it's on from there. So don't
Yes.
DQ yourself, but because there's so much more that men can do, and women can do
Yeah.
different things as well. Just talking to men, there's so much you guys can do.
Yeah.
Please don't DQ yourselves, especially if you've got a good heart and you know you want the best for the woman.
Yeah.
Put yourself out there as an act of self-expression, and then let her make that decision. And you'll be
Okay.
surprised how often it comes back positive.
That's so good, because what I hear from women, like one of the most attractive qualities in a guy, it's not the size of his wallet, it's not his height, it's not what car he drives. It's his confidence, and it's
Yeah,
his emotional intelligence. Can he pay attention? Can he ask questions? Can he
yeah,
ask follow-up questions? Does he seem
100%.
interested? Right? It's the difference between walking up to someone, you're sort of shuffling your feet, you're looking down, you're pulling out your phone, you're looking around, sort of like, hey, right? Like how are you tonight? Versus walking shoulders back, chin up, chest out. Hi, I saw you from across the room. I couldn't help but come over and introduce myself. My name is Benjamin. How are you?
100%.
Yes,
100%.
do that.
Yeah, that it's so much about energy. And I know online is a little weird, but offline, it's so much
Yeah.
about energy and presentation that looks actually have very little to do with it. I think we all
Mm-hmm.
look at that one dude in the room who just seems to get like every girl. You know, my
Mm-hmm.
wife was watching Brad Pitt's latest Formula One trailer, and she went,
Yeah.
"How is anyone this good looking? Like, God bless this man. Like, Brad
Yeah.
Pitt could have literally zero game and dress up in nothing,
God.
and he
And
would
you know,
he would do fine."
that's a blessing and a curse, I suppose. Some guys, I mean, him and Thelma and Louise, Lord, that
Yeah,
was.
there you
There's
go.
always that moment for gay men. What turns you gay? I mean,
Yeah, it
well,
was that. It was that.
it was that for some people, a lot of gays. It's Ryan Phillippe and Cruel Intentions. That
There you go.
is,
The moments are there.
oh, for
But
me,
but for
Brad Pitt and
most of
Thelma.
us mere mortals, it really is
Yes.
that confidence as you're talking about, energy, presentation. All of that is going to trump basic looks.
Okay. All right. All right. Thank you. Thank you, Mark. I think it's going to be really helpful for the fellas. And now, as we get into some of the dating questions, some dating dynamics, I wanted to frame this question around your coaching experience, where in the
Yeah.
early part of your coaching career, you worked primarily with men.
Yep.
And then started working primarily with women. The book Make Him Yours, Beating the Odds of Modern Dating, really for the lady
It's
flirties
for the
out there dating the
ladies. Yep.
fellas. And now you're coming back around and starting to work with
I'm
more
working with a couple of
with
men,
men
yeah,
again.
and
Yeah.
also in men's work and men's groups and things like that.
Yes.
Yeah.
I'm curious to hear about some of the similarities and differences in how this episode really geared for the straights, right?
Sure.
Hello, straights.
Sure.
We love you. Some of the differences, gays, other episodes will be for you. And I think you'll still get some amazing takeaways from this conversation. But some of the differences between how men and women date.
It's interesting because I've kind of had the two phases working with men, and neither has been as significant as most of my work is catered towards women.
Okay.
So when I was first working with men, it was very much about getting over the initial fear. A lot of it is, a lot of times if you can get a man into conversation, especially in person, that's his biggest hurdle. And if he is having enough conversations where he's opening his mouth and she's responding, if you can get guys over that hurdle, at the start of my career, that's a lot of it, what it was about.
Okay.
Now, and again, I don't work with a ton of men, so I don't claim to be an expert on this. I think for a lot of men, the challenge that I'm noticing in modern dating is balancing, well, I want to be attractive. I want to spark a level of attraction in a woman. So I do want to have my shit together. Maybe I want to have some amount of money. I obviously don't want to be a homeless person on the street. I want to have my life kind of sorted. I want to be strong, whatever that means to the person, to the man. But then there's also this context of, well, that's what attracts a woman, but what makes a relationship work? And I think a lot of men sort of struggle with that. Like, okay, there's one set of attributes to attract a woman and really turn her on and make her want to have sex with me and grab me and just relax around me to really make her feel protected and safe. And then there's this thing called vulnerability that men are being told is helps them connect and be emotional. And it's, well, how do I bring that element in? And I think one of the confusing things for men is, how do I really show up as a man who's strong, who's protective, who's masculine, quote unquote? Because most men don't want to be considered feminine, whatever that might mean to them. It doesn't feel good to most straight men to feel that way. I get that. So they say, I want to feel masculine, at least around my woman. At the same time, I'm being told that I need, like, women kind of don't need me for money anymore. They don't really need me for physical protection. They mostly need me to be emotionally available. And I think some of these guys are like scratching their heads being like, what, how do I, so you want me to be vulnerable and show sadness and show connection and show softness and be your emotional supporter, and you don't need me for those other things. But you're also telling me those other things are kind of what turns you on about me. So there's this, like, it's modern relationships are hard, man. It's like we expect a lot from our partners. You got to be my, you got to be my coach, my best friend, my lover, my therapist, my guide, my supporter, there's so much, especially in monogamy, that we're expecting of our partners. And I think that's where a lot of the modern, because most men do not actually enjoy disappointing their partners. We don't like doing it. We don't like making our partners feel sad or disheartened or whatever it is. But we're not maybe experienced in a relationship where we're allowed to speak our truth and maybe disappoint our partners and then share our feelings and have that conversation. There's a lot of emotional stuff that men are learning now in response to women's changing needs and need profiles. So I think for men, those are the challenges. At first it was the upfront stuff, and now it's the balance of how do I be emotional and attractive, vulnerable yet strong at the same time. Like, what is how do I do this? Navigating that. And then I think for women, the typical complaint women come to me is I can't meet good people. Like, where are these men that I want to meet quality men? And some of that, the apps can be great if they're used well for the right reasons, but they are built like poker machines, and poker machines are very fun the first time you use it, and then they're depressing and ruin your life by the 100th swipe. You know, it's like, oh, this is fun. I'm depressed. I'm broke. I'm miserable. Like, where did that happen? So I think part of that is the lack of, since COVID especially, the lack of in-person, and women are really good at connecting with each other. But a lot of women are in women's circles now. Men are in somewhat men's circles, all just on their own, trying to go it alone. There's a disconnect there. So a lot of these women are either not in places where they're meeting men, or they're in places like apps where they're overwhelmed and they don't have a system. And then they just, I don't want to do this. I'm going to go hang out with my girlfriends. I've got money. What do I need a man for? And they're frustrated by emotionally unavailable men with the problem I just described, which is these guys might be attractive to me, but they're not emotionally available. And then I get these really emotional guys, but they're not attractive to me. So women just go, fuck it. I got a job. What do I need a man for, man?
Like,
buy my own pizza.
Exactly. I might be making more money than him. I've been building my community, my sisterhood. I've got my job. Like,
I'm
good.
Got my
pets. I'm working on my health. Like, what is, like, I mean, for lack of better words, what is this man going to bring to the table? But I mean, because I see these themes play out on social media all the time, where it's like, it seems like there's this growing divide in dating between men and women. But when you get right down to it, both want the same things. I think both still crave connection. Both still crave relationships. Like, it's whenever
so
I see
funny
these videos, come across where it's like, just people are going in these extremes about, like, I'm never dating again. Like, I don't want a relationship ever again. Like, for some people, maybe they won't ever date again, but I think the majority will, because, like, there's something like men, go find your queen, ladies, go find your king, right? Like, be in that partnership. You get to have that supportive, nurturing environment where you can create that intimacy and you can have that attraction and have that chemistry. Like, it's really hard to find that and create that and build that, but it's also possible. Like, why? I think we want it as much as we say that we don't.
We do. I work with couples sometimes. I really enjoy couples work, although I don't do that much of it. And it's kind of the same thing as what you're saying in a micro format. It's like,
Mm.
you clearly love her.
Yeah.
And you clearly love him. And somehow we're in this constant fighting power struggle. And I'll say this a lot to couples, and they're sort of sheepishly like, yeah, he's kind of right. And it's funny because at the base, that's what it is. It's just both people are struggling to feel heard. And I think this is true of the wider picture as well, is men have legitimate trauma that they're struggling to feel heard. Men want to feel needed. Men want to feel seen. And if a woman says, well, you're the problem, then they go into their corner, and vice versa. Women want to feel heard and needed and seen. And if men say, well, that's your problem, then they go into the corner. And eventually everyone's just in their own corners in an echo chamber talking to each other. And the ideas get more and more extreme and exacerbated. And pretty soon, social media algorithms don't help because the most extreme things tend to get promoted the most, which means because they get the most clicks. But it is sad because at the end of the day, you're dead right. Is everyone just kind of wants connection. Women just want to feel seen and cherished and loved by an empowered man. And men just want to feel useful and needed and adored by a beautiful woman, an empowering woman. And it's like, where do we get all this disconnection from?
I know.
That we forget that. And that is sad, to be honest. And I think podcasts like yours really do a great job of bringing men and women back together, which I love.
I hope so. I'm so glad more men are coming into the flirt community because, like what you were saying, I think you see probably this in your work with women, where a lot of women, and men too, but women are, I can do it all, right? I don't need a man. I'm not going to ask for help. I got this. Like, I've worked so hard on my healing, my self-love, the relationship I have with myself, healing trauma, maybe abuse, toxic relationships.
Yeah.
And what happens is, like, I love that we're about that self-love life, but that self-love at some point can become a barrier in your dating journey, because if you say you don't need anyone, if you act disinterested, if you can't ask for help, if you can't start to build that bridge, at least so a guy can meet you in the middle, why would he want to be with you? Like, he can only chase so much.
And what is his use? Because we all need to feel we contribute something to our partner. That's men and women. Yeah. And if we're supposed to go from codependence as a child to independence as teenagers to interdependence as community and adults. And more, especially in our Western culture, we sort of take pride in, staying in the middle. Yeah. And I understand that, hey, I've been really hurt when I tried to be in interdependence, or maybe I got hurt in codependence. So I'll just stay in independence. So there is legitimate pain there. Yeah. As you say, I think it's sad that we put out a message that we don't need each other, because even when this is one that comes from women more than men. I don't really hear men say this. I think this is more a women one, where they say, I want a man, but I don't need a man. I don't find that to be accurate, because while anyone can survive without a partner of the opposite sex, of course, no one needs, we've got jobs, we've got locks on our doors. Yes. In an emotional sense, we do need each other. We need community, we need connection. Yeah. But I do suspect what is happening there is women they've become so adept, a lot of women at least, have become so adept at meeting their own needs. And then in the emotional realm, women are very good at leaning on other women for their emotional needs, which is something a man can bring, but he's often...
We could learn from women there.
We can learn from them in there, right? And I think really, though, for men, a lot of us need to learn from other men. Yeah. Because while a woman can hold space and be a good guide, we really need male role models. I think for young men as well, young men want to learn from something they perceive as masculine, because teenage boys especially are not going to, I want to learn about emotions. No, I want to be a man. I want to be masculine. That's what they care about. So they need someone who they respect teaching them emotions. And then they go, I can be masculine and be the man that's compatible with a modern woman.
That's a really good point. And so it's like, who are the youth looking up to? It's like I've seen I've done a little bit of research about this, and it's like when you ask a teenager, like let's use a guy for example, what do you want to be when you grow up? He doesn't say a doctor, he doesn't say like a fireman, he doesn't say a teacher, he says a billionaire.
Yeah.
Like,
God. I've heard that a lot, and I think it's an expression of how social media has become so rampant that it's so hard to stand out now,
Yeah.
that instead of being in a small community where we're celebrated for our small individual relationships,
Yeah.
it's harder and harder to feel noticed because you see the next boy or the next girl, the next man, the next woman getting 10x your views or doing something more extreme. Every kid these days wants to be a YouTuber when they grow up. I mean,
yep. They want to be an influencer too.
yeah, it's all about how do I truly feel seen, and how do I feel seen more than I am feeling seen now, which, oh gosh, parents have a lot to answer for that. Local communities have a lot to answer that. That's a whole topic right there.
Such a complex conversation. I mean, we can talk about the dating apps and social media and just our filtered realities and how that's another point. The outfall of the pandemic and COVID and the world shutting down in many places, like just how we're, like I used to be a city planner, and how our cities and our towns are designed, right? How we built them really to have us exist in these isolated spaces, right? You go to work, you go to home, you go shopping, then you have your earphones in, you're in your car. Like there's no, where's the connection? But to dating, talking about being seen, we alluded to it earlier in the interview. I think you had an interesting experience on the apps where you were not Mark Rosenfeld.
I went undercover, Ben. I went 100% undercover. As my wife, in fact, and one or two clients as well. So I had a lot of clients coming to me saying, Mark, you don't know what it's like for me on the apps. You don't know what it's like. And I couldn't hear it one more time. I'd heard it so many times. I went, fine, you know what? I'm going to find out what it's like for you on the apps. And I said, I'm going to go on the apps every day as a woman and find out what it's like for an entire year. And I made it to about day 350 before I got sick of it and quit, which is pretty close to a year.
Very close.
But basically what I did was every month I tested something new. So I might, for example, I took the from being my wife without a child to my wife as a single mum. I just changed one thing. And then I tried a different app. And then I tried sending all the opening messages. And then I tried sending none of the opening messages. And then I tried getting a lot more specific, because the biggest problem that women always come to me with on the apps is I'm overwhelmed. I don't have time. I'm sick of the chats, and all of it is producing this feeling of overwhelm. So it's hard because we want to be two things as a woman on the apps. We want to be the woman that is attractive and as a man, if I'm talking to a series of different women, who do I want to put the effort into because she seems like her energy is the best? There's going to be maybe 2 out of every 10 that we as men do that. So on the one hand, as a woman, you want to shine bright and you want to say, hey, I want to be attractive to the best men. On the other hand, you need to have a filtering system because you're going to have so many matches if you shine bright. You shine bright, you get overwhelmed. But if you go in with the attitude of, hey, you need to be, be married within 1 year, you need to be a Cancer, you need to be born, between 1984 and 1986, you need to this, you need that, you're going to sound like an interviewee, and it's not going to be attractive. So I basically put my time into creating a system that does both. How do we filter really, really well while remaining attractive? How do we shine while sharing, hey, this is the religion I'm looking for. Hey, this is the health and fitness value I'm looking for. Hey, this is when I want to have kids and how soon. And that way, once we're on the phone, which is phone or real life date, that's really where we want to get to. Once we are here, we can relax, we can have fun, and we know we're doing it with people who are more or less compatible already because they've been pre-screened. So we want the guys to take the lead. And we want to rule out the wrong people. So I basically spent about 350 days figuring out how to do that. And how to kind of automate it so the women don't have to do much of the chats themselves. And it's just send this message first, send this message second, then get him to call you is pretty much it.
Okay. So maybe a strategy or two that the women on the apps can use, because I hear this, right? This was honestly a bulk of the questions that came through for the interview. It's like talking about the duality of things of like, I don't need anyone versus where's my person?
Yeah.
And then this conversation of I hate the apps, I deleted them. And yet a lot of daters are still on the apps and they're still using them and they're still meeting people. And that's where a lot of the questions came for this interview today. So a few of those, maybe some prompts women could use to be like, hey fella, like call me, let's go on a date.
So I think it's important we get the right fellas first. So basically what I will do is we want absolutely very attractive photos, because we want to start by drawing in as much attention as possible. That doesn't mean professional photos. I'm talking open mouth smile, candid photos. Your friend tells you a joke and you're eating lunch and she took a photo of you. I'm talking like real, human, beautiful, not perfection. There is a difference. So get your photos right. After that, what I'll tend to do is I'll put a question in the bio that reflects a key value of yours. The question should be multiple choice, so ABC or ABCD. You can use ChatGPT to help you formulate the question.
All right.
And this is probably the hardest part. You want to ask a question where the people who have the value you're looking for choose the correct answer or answers, and the people who have the wrong value choose the wrong answers. So the trick is making the wrong answer seem appealing to the wrong people. And basically that question is your first filter. From there, we put one or two more filters in the bio. So for example, let's say you want kids within 2 years. You might say something like, super excited to start a family with my person within 2 years. Let's say you want someone who wants to not live in the city. You might put in a prompt that says, I love the city. My future, though, is in the country. If you feel aligned, send me a chat. So that might go in the bio. And then the questions we set up with 2 of your other values. So we never use more than 2 because otherwise it becomes an interview. So then we might ask something like, do you mind if I ask you a question or 2 to see if our values match? The guy says yes. And you might say, whatever is your value. Hey, I'm actually a practicing Christian. Is religion part of your life? And he says yes or no. And then the second one might be, give me a score. I'm curious, one more for you. On a scale of 0 to 10, how much do you enjoy your job? If you care about someone being passionate about the job, you can change the questions to whatever you care about.
Sure.
Once you've done the questions, if you're happy with the answers, you then go and say, hey, I really feel I've gotten to know you through these answers. I would feel super excited if you were to ask for my number and give me a call, or if you like, I can drop it here. And I'm free this time or this time.
All right.
So we give them the window, and then the guys have that very clear invitation. And if the guy is interested, which usually he is at this point because he's been answering questions, so he feels like he's putting in the work, qualified himself. He's answered your questions, and then 75% of guys will follow through at that point. So hopefully you're getting about 3 out of 4. And give you a call.
Lady Flirties, there is how, because I mean, how often do you see daters across the board just getting stuck on the apps, right? Conversations that don't lead to dates or phone calls, where you could be talking to someone, like you could have a Tinder pen pal for weeks, right? That never just goes anywhere, in which case it's probably about just the fun of getting notifications and talking to someone that feels new, right? You're still in that phase of like, oh, this isn't a real person. It's a bit of that fantasy, a little bit too much Delulu for me.
My limit for clients is 7 messages. 7. And usually the first one is permission. The next 2 are questions. The next 2 are setting up the phone call. And the last one is confirmation.
All right.
So it's pretty simple.
Mark, want to ask you this question that ties into that dating app strategy, that in dating for the straights, men chase, women choose. And so in this example, it sounds like the woman is more or less leading the dating app conversation.
I get this objection and I hear it, but I don't necessarily agree. And the reason is the woman in this sense, it's not like the woman who's going, hey, how are you? Hey, how's your day? What are you into? Where it feels very chasey. This should come off with the energy of both warmth and qualification. So in a sense, the woman is taking sort of the lead in that she's saying, if the guy answers the question correctly, so he has to answer that question. So that's important. It means he's already qualifying himself in a sense. She would then say, I love your answer. Would it be okay if I asked you 1 or 2 more questions? He says, sure. Question is asked. So yes, the woman is steering it a little bit in that way. It's not a lean back. It's not a full lean back strategy, but the man is qualifying himself. And then at the end, we say, hey, if you like, I can give you my number and you can take over from here, or you can call me. And then from there, it's 100% the guy. He's organizing the phone call. She will tell him when she's available, but he's organizing. He's calling. At the end of the phone call, she says, well, I've really enjoyed this. If you want to ask me out again, I would love that. I'll leave it in your court. Then the guy does it. Women invite, men action. Women invite, men action. So in this strategy, it's a little more, the woman is making herself the queen in a sense, but she's not doing it in a chasey way where she's,
I get.
hey, how are you? Are you still talking to me? She's doing it more in a
Yeah.
qualifying way. So I
Okay.
think it's fine. I found it to be fine.
I get that distinction, and also this play on chase versus choose is invitation versus action. I love that reframe. And so how can women mirror that dating app strategy in real life too? When it was, because I hear this all the time where it's like women, they still want to be, they want the men to take the lead. They just do. I hear this over and
Yeah,
not
of
exclusively,
course.
not from everybody, but I hear it over and over and over again, especially like if you're the boss babe, if you're a type A, if you're like maybe the planner of your friend group. Like this is a part of being in partnership and relationship, of being in your feminine energy, even where you don't have to do
Invitation.
everything.
Yeah.
Yes.
Invitation is vulnerable. We forget that. If I invite you to a
Yeah.
party or to my wedding and you say no, there's
Yeah.
vulnerability in that. The invitation
Absolutely.
is vulnerable. So, invitation, there's a shared vulnerability here. The invitation has vulnerability, the action has vulnerability. The woman
Okay.
who makes eye contact at the bar or at the networking event with a man she's
Mm-hmm.
attracted to, she's
Mm-hmm.
being vulnerable through the invitation. The man who
Okay.
comes and introduces himself is being vulnerable through the action because he could be rejected by her.
Okay.
And
Okay.
obviously there's other people around who might hear him get rejected. So there's vulnerability on both sides, and really relationship
Okay.
is building shared vulnerability together. It's going
Absolutely.
deeper.
Yeah.
So a lot of invitation, especially I do work with a lot of type A's, a lot of women who are good at planning, a lot of women who are good at taking the lead.
Mm-hmm.
Part of their challenge and part of what brings up their anxiety and their lack of
Mm-hmm.
safety, which is, I will say, often these women, not always, but
Mm-hmm.
often, they are very structured because
Mm-hmm.
they grew up in an extremely unstructured family.
Yeah. Yeah.
And building structure was what kept them safe.
Yeah. Totally.
And so they may be type A in their personality. When they go to lean back and do the invitation and experience the vulnerability associated with invitations, they don't like that vulnerability, and actually
Okay.
taking action gets rid of the vulnerability for them.
Okay.
So a big part of the invitation is showing that you would be interested in whatever way it is. Hey, I would feel so exciting if you booked the date, or showing the eyes across the room, or giving that bright smile and just letting the guy do with it what he will. It's about giving that clear invitation and then sitting in the vulnerability that comes with that. And then it's on to the man. And he then has to figure out if he wants to confront the vulnerability of taking the action.
Yes.
So there's sitting with the vulnerability is the hard part for my type A clients, because they're not used to inviting and then leaving. They're used to just doing. So inviting and leaving is where and they may be disappointed, and that's the reality.
I get that completely. Like a word that's come to mind is control, and it may not be, you may not see that as controlling, but it's a manifestation of how can I alleviate this discomfort, right? How can I alleviate this feeling of vulnerability that like, wait, I put out this bid for connection, this invitation, and maybe they're not texting back fast enough, or last time they texted back in 1 hour, and this time it's taking them 3 or 4. And you're like, okay, wait, hey, did you get my message? Right? Like, hey, right, how was your day? And now
we want to get rid of that discomfort. We're like, oh, this is uncomfortable.
Whoop. Yeah, and now we're chasing.
Correct.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. That is very interesting. You're amazing, Mark. I just have one more question here as we start to. Yeah, this has been just fascinating. I can't wait to debut. Just one more question about some of the dynamics between the straights out there dating, and that is that women sometimes might date potential, and men date the woman in front of them.
Yeah.
What are your thoughts?
I think there's some truth to that, unfortunately, because I mean, it does make some sense with biology. Tell me if you disagree, Ben. As a woman, there's always, whatever your age, there is always that risk of pregnancy, risk, gift. You know, when you're meeting a man, if you have sex with him, there is a biological precedent for pregnancy. And so you are thinking, I'm going to be extremely vulnerable when I'm pregnant. I'm going to be exhausted. I'm going to be low on resources in every way. How is this guy, or what's he going to be like in the future?
Okay.
And the man is more likely to be more present with, well, do I like what I see in terms of, if this is the mother right here, is this what I want? Is this what I would consider a good mother? So I do think there's some biology in there. I don't know what the cure is. Do you have a cure to that mindset? I think
Well, I think it's a lot is what we've been talking about all show of just like, because a lot of times what I'll see in dating from the women is, with those bids for connection, with those invitations, like that's why I loved you talked about having standards, right? Having not just preferences, but like qualifications, like you're vetting someone in the dating process. Because if you're not doing that and you're just checking some boxes, oh, they're 6'2", right? Oh, they have a car, like, oh, they have a job. You may think you're compatible around just checking boxes
Yeah.
versus true values. Who might you be together? And along with that, if you're the type of dater that doesn't have needs, doesn't have wants, doesn't ask questions, just doesn't put out any of those bids for invitation, and then you get in partnership, you get in relationship with someone, and now all of a sudden you want to make some plans, you got some questions, you have needs, you have an issue or a problem that you bring to his attention, he's like, hold up. The person I dated, the person I agreed to be in a relationship with, didn't want anything.
Wasn't this?
Who's this person?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I suppose I would say lean into those difficult conversations early. Not first date early. Lean into them early though, and get clear on what your vision is. The thing I like about the online strategy is you actually do a fair few of them before you've even chatted, so you can kind of just relax and enjoy the first couple of dates after that. Yeah, what is your vision? Do you want kids? Do you want to be a stay-at-home mum? Like, do you want someone who supports you in that? Do you not want to do that? Do you want to be a businesswoman? Do you believe, if you don't want to do kids, is religion important in your life? Like, just all these questions. How do you handle conflict? How did your parents handle conflict? The book 8 Dates by John Gottman is a good one because it asks all of these questions without it being weird. You can just, hey, let's do this book together. It's not weird and you can do it. But yeah, bring up those conversations early, because I heard a really good saying, actually, the difficult conversations you avoid charge you interest. And I found that to be very true. So if you don't have them early, you'll pay interest on them later.
Yeah, that's so true. And the biological perspective you presented a few moments ago is one I don't think I've ever heard before, but it's like shifted something in my mind. I think it makes a lot of sense, as so much of early dating, it's about power dynamics and differences, right? Like those are the things, navigate those two things, build compatibility around those two things. And yeah, you want to be attracted to your person. You want to think they're hot and, probably have great sex if you're having sex, right? All of that good stuff too, like actually build a true friendship with this person as well. But it's those, the invitations versus action, the differences, like ultimately that is what is going to lead to growth and lead you to a relationship where you can just settle in, right? It gets to be easy, not easy all the time. That's impossible. But day in and day out, we hope that it's just enjoyable and peaceful and feels good.
Right. And it fulfills you and lights you up. Relationship won't always be easy. There will be challenges. There will be differences to work through. That said, working through those differences as a team, in my opinion, should be fulfilling. Yeah. As in, okay, it's almost like a gym workout, to go back to that metaphor. This isn't always fun at the time, but at the end of the day, that was a good decision.
It's fulfilling, mutually fulfilling to both people in the relationship. This has been just really incredible. Thank you, Mark Rosenfeld, so much for being on the show today. As we conclude, final question. I want to send all the flirties your way, to your programs, to your coaching, to work with you. The book is there. Where can they find you, follow you, and learn more?
Yeah, if you just head to Make Him Yours, that's MakeHimYours, makehimyours.com. You can find a bit of info there. And my YouTube channel is my name on the screen, Mark Rosenfeld.
Fantastic.
So yeah. Love to meet
awesome. I will have all those links in the show notes below for this episode and send the flirties your way. Mark, thank you so much for being on Flirtations today.
What a pleasure. That was so much fun, Ben. Thanks for having me.
Thank you.
Cheers, man. See you soon. See you soon, guys.